everyone, my name is Sam and thanks for checking out this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell to get notifications, and give the video a thumbs up. If you are a regular watcher, I apologize for the chaos that was last month, but hopefully things will settle down a little bit, and I should be back on schedule, regularly uploading my weekly vlog on Friday, my weekly wrap-up reviews on Sunday, and then my, whatever video on Tuesday. And I think I've got it. So even with my second job, I should be able to get all this done. Because what is life like a millennial unless you have a master's degree and still need 2 jobs? So last week I only managed to read 1 book just because it was so chaotic because of my conference, so I decided to merge the 2 weeks. So between last week and this week I read a total of 6 books, I think. I want to say 6. So I wanted to tell you about them. Every time I talk about books, I'm like, why do I always leave my bookmarks in these? Every single time. And then, sure enough, J-Hope. So the first book that I read this week last week, was Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart. Now, I was very hesitant about this because the summary sounded like it just gave too much away. And I've heard, decent reviews, but the people that I'm, relatively close to or friends with were like, it was okay. It wasn't anything major. And then the size of it was like, oh no, is it just a short fantasy novella? But I actually didn't end up hating this one. I think I ended up giving it a 3.5 or 3 stars. I'm definitely going to read the sequel. I found it very... I guess I should explain the book first. Duh. But we have 2 main characters. One of them has been raised to essentially she's going to be married off to the king or one of the king's sons and be essentially one of his many wife concubines, because what else is patriarchy other than having variety of wives and treating them all like garbage? Her sister is kind of her maid in waiting, what's the word? Lady in waiting? Lady's maid? Whatever it was. And all of these women kind of go up, and then the prince chooses the top 3 that he wants, because why not make women compete against each other? To be concubines treated like garbage. I mean, that is literally the point of the book. I'm not just being smashing the book. It's a heavily patriarchal society, very critical and not at all relevant to today's society in North America. All of a sudden, her sister is picked as lady in waiting, and she is sent to jail for something that her sister did, so she takes the blame for it. And then she meets the 2 princes, the future heir, who is believed to be very cruel, very rude, very domineering, and then she meets his brother, who everyone thinks is the laid-back brother, the chill brother. He's not direct in line. He just wants to help people, and he sees all the problems in the world that she sees. And so you get to see the sister straddling this new world that she was never trained to. It was her sister. And then the sister that was trained to be in that world is on essentially Wonder Woman style island of all women, but it's all prisons, and it's kind of like a gladiator system where you have to kill each other in order to get enough food to survive. And that is what happens. I am someone who I'm all for women loving women, or analyzing patriarchal society, which once again we definitely don't have in our current world. This is me trying to wink. I don't know what's wrong with me. We definitely don't have in our current society. But I feel the thing that really took me out of this was that I'm very unobservant when it comes to reading books. I not only don't see plot twists coming, them coming, but I don't even know that there's a plot twist to come. All of a sudden, it's not the, oh my god, that person's evil. It's literally oh my god, this book was lying to me part of it. I'm very absent-minded and completely out of it. And even I saw the twist coming in this one. So I feel the fact that the girl, the main character that's the betrothed chick, her inability to pick up on things while I, acknowledging how dumb I am when I read books, made me furious and made me want to, slap her through the pages. Girl, clearly he's evil. Why aren't you paying attention? There's a million red flags here. What is... And I know that, sometimes it can be, she's, she was untrained for the situation. But you get the sense at the beginning that, she is actually quite observant, and she knows what the rules are, and she knows how to, bend around them and kind of lie, and then that kind of goes to the wayside when the random twist is thrown in. So, fair warning, you're going to see the twist coming from a mile away. I'm really curious about the ending, because there's the potential that they're either going to interact and come together in the next book and then defeat patriarchy. Hashtag I wish it was that easy. Or they're gonna like keep missing each other, like one leaves at the same time out the front door while someone enters through the back door, sort of thing. So I'm very curious about that. And I feel like it's just like an actually like a light, fun fantasy that I would reread if I'm kind of like potentially feeling like a slump coming on or something like that. The next book that I read was Tyrant Throne by Sebastian de Castell. Also very proud of myself for finishing the series. I started it, in January. And I finished all 4 books now. And I feel like all I've done this year is start a new series. So I'm very proud of myself for this. Plus, they're bigger books, and they're adult books rather than YA, which I don't tend to really like a lot of adult books, especially ones with, like, male POVs or, like, that are medievally. I just find they're just too much focused on the violence. I'm like, I don't care if you stab him. Just tell me what else is going on. So this is kind of like, this series is like Three Musketeers. It makes me think of, like, Three Musketeers combined with, like, The Princess Bride almost. Or Monty Python. I don't know. It's very, very funny. Sebastian de Castell is like a genius with sarcastic dialogue and characters. So I can't really say much though because it is the 4th book in a series. But it starts to try, well, I guess it does. It wraps up the whole lineage issue that's been going on through the 4 books. And we have this female who we know that the Dukes are going to try and kill her because she's a monarch and they'd be under her and they've done that before. So I always say his name wrong. I'm just going to call him Falchio. But Falchio is trying to save her as well as kind of find the rest of the Greycoats because, like, none of them showed up. And then he finds out some things about the Greycoats and about this king that he was just so insanely loyal to and that he never really questioned things about. And I really liked this, actually, as a wrap-up. Like, it broke my heart at some points. I put the book... Put is probably the wrong term. I put the bookmark in and threw the book across the room at one point. Thanks, Sebastian de Castell, for that. You just made the Rat Bastard list with Jay Kristoff and Niall Schusterman. Oh, and Amberlynn Natush. I complain constantly of like, oh, everyone gets a happily ever after. That's not realistic. Well, this one, not everyone gets a happily ever after. There are some nice wrap-ups and there's some nice like kind of touches that make you kind of flash back to the beginning of the series of where people were. But like, there's some sad parts. It's a medieval political lineage battle duel for power. Of course it's gonna end that way. I thoroughly love this. Like, there was literally nothing I didn't like about this. I'm so happy I own the series. I hopefully can meet Sebastian de Castell again because I got the first 3 books signed, sorry. But this wasn't out in paperback yet. So he's like, you could buy the hardcover and I'll sign it. But I was like, but then they won't match. I can't do that. I'm sorry, man. Thoroughly enjoyed this. So happy I own the series. And I'm excited. Soulbinder, a book in his other series came out this week, actually, too. So my copy of that is in the mail. And I'm very excited. I'm basically all caught up on my Sebastian de Castell now. This week I also picked up City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This is her first middle grade, actually, I think. But it follows our main character, who is the daughter of these... I'm trying to think of a comparison for these parents, but they're essentially like ghost hunters, and her dad is like a very analytical professor, history side of it, and her mom is like very paranormally like ghost storyteller kind of person. So they are authors, and one of their books is kind of being adapted, so they're doing like a tour of Europe to interview and like show all these spooky places where potential ghost things happen. And they bring their daughter, and their daughter almost died a couple years before. I think it was years before. And she is kind of brought back by a ghost, and in so doing, he's kind of in this in-between world, and she can see him. So she can see ghosts, which sounds kind of crazy and weird. So she goes with her parents during the summer to Scotland while they're filming and gets involved in this whole drama, meets another like kind of ghost hunter, and gets dragged into this in-between world where there's some crazy people who don't want to be in the in-between world anymore. And like almost a Pied Piper creepy zombie children situation. It was very interesting. I will say it's not as detailed as I was expecting. I know it's a middle grade, but it is also still Victoria Schwab. I was expecting a little bit more development or depth or layers to like the plot or the characters or the problems or something. I don't know. It wasn't terrible though. I think I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I'm definitely going to read the rest of the books, but it was a fun light read. I think it's a good Halloween-y one. If you're a scaredy cat like me and like avoid everything about October because of clowns and things jumping out at you, then this is still a very doable book. I also picked up Scream All Night by Derek Millman this week. I will, full disclosure, I did not end up finishing this. I feel kind of bad. I DNF'd it on chapter 14, which is like the last quarter of the book. This book isn't bad. It is just a very opinion taste thing. I also don't read a ton of YA books that have male authors. It's slowly becoming a bit more, but like there's Jay Kristoff, Niall Schusterman, Sebastian de Castell, Pierce Brown, kind of Rick Riordan. His is middle grade YA. So that was part of the reason as well I wanted to pick it up, but he seemed really, really nice online too. And like the writing is not bad by any means. I am not a horror watcher, a horror film watcher. I'm not a culty person. Like I'm not part of these big cult societies about different fandoms. I wouldn't consider BTS a cult society, though they can act like it sometimes. I feel like a lot of like the appeal and the fun of this and like the homage and then nodding at like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, just like completely went over my head. I have no idea what they were talking about for the majority of this. I didn't understand the setting. It doesn't make sense to me that everyone is apparently living in a castle, which is also a production stage, which is also like just a variety of messed up things that somehow everyone's there, but no one ever leaves despite not being paid. And like, I didn't quite get why I was supposed to care about most of these characters. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. But then like people I know who really like cults and like horror movies and all that stuff were like, oh my god, it was so awesome. So I was like, oh, okay, this is definitely is why. This week I also read Tallinn by Julie Kagawa, finally. This is the first time I've ever received a library book that's not been laminated, and the cover of the series is so pretty. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting. It's like contemporary with magical realism. I was expecting more of like an epic fantasy. It's dragons, right? Our main characters essentially like were dragons, and it's a set of siblings that are supposed to be twins, and they go to live in this community where they're supposed to be trained, but they're also supposed to like double lives, like a Hannah Montana situation. Oh god, I hate that I just made that reference. Oh my goodness. At night or in the morning or whatever, they train to like be dragons and like these elite fighters. And then they act like regular teenagers. And at the same time, there's these like essentially people fighting the dragon community. The dragon community is called Tallinn. And they're like the Knights of St. George, which I thought was funny because like St. George and the dragon. Get it? They're looking for the dragons. They've been given intel that they know that there's dragons in this community, and they're trying to find them. And then there's this other side character who all of a sudden shows up and is like, Tallinn isn't exactly what you think it is. But this whole time I kept being like, you're basically living in like Neptune or like Orange County. It just kind of kept taking me out. Just kept taking me out of the whole situation of like, oh, these are were-dragons. It took a while for me to get my mind wrapped around that. So like the book definitely got better as it went on. I think I'll read the rest, or the next book at least. And I could see once again the twist in this one. Saw it coming a mile and a half away. So the main character being like, oh, how could you do that? And I was like, really? Really? Like I know like you're involved in this situation and like I have the outsider view, but like, really? So yeah, I'm giving this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And lastly this week, I also picked up How to Hang a Witch by Adriana Mather. So it follows our main character in modern-day Salem, and the Mather family name has a long-standing history with Salem witch trial history and drama. It actually reminded me a bit of Hocus Pocus, of like the school like just devotes all this time randomly that like all of a sudden they have to like study history. But all of a sudden when she shows back in town, her father is in a coma for like under mysterious circumstances, and she's there with her stepmother now. And all of a sudden, as soon as she comes to town, weird things start happening around town. And as always happens, you know, people start being like, well, this didn't happen until she showed up, and sort of witch hunt situation. And so she's doing a lot of digging for her own, like, homework, really, of the history in the community and the Mather name and all of these families that were around when all the hangings were happening and who are still there and how they're connected. And there's a little bit of, like, a paranormal ghosty situation. And I think I ended up giving this like a 3 out of 5 stars, but it wasn't what I was hoping. It wasn't really what I was wanting. I found lots of it to be quite cheesy, quite like predictable. Like I said, even for me, it's been a very weird week where I saw like everything coming from a mile away. And I like that the main character has my name, because that, like, I don't know why, but that name is never used. It just didn't really do anything for me. I don't quite get why there was all this hype about it. Like, it just seemed like a pretty, like, regular YA Halloween-y contemporary with some, like, supernatural elements. Nothing really stood out to me. So those are all the books that I read this week. Let me know in the comment section down below what you read this week, or if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were. Make sure to check the description box down below. I will link all of the books to their Goodreads pages, and I will link all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you